While this is booting up, I'll just introduce myself. My name is James Glinsek. I've actually been with rezStream for 16 years. I was here before Christian bought in and came in and made things a lot better for rezStream, I would say. I run the product development portion of rezStream. I've got a team of 6, including myself. So we're working hard to build all the things, try to accomplish all the changes that are happening in the space, and keep up with all the technology that's sort of happening all around us, which is breakneck at this point. So what I'm going to do today is just kind of take you through some of those new features Christian was talking about. Let you ask questions if you have any, and look really uncomfortable doing it, because I don't usually do this kind of thing. And kind of lay out some of our roadmap and some of our plans for the future as well, focusing on 2025. So feel free to ask me questions along the way and interrupt me if you want. Catch me anytime during the day and tell me about the things you want to see. So that. Thanks. All right. Okay, so get my notes. So I'm just going to cover a few of the things, some of the new things that have kind of come about in the last year or so. And then I'll talk about what we're working on now a little bit deeper, and then kind of what I guess Christian already kind of covered what we're kind of working on. So we'll be quick about that stuff. I'll focus mostly on the product itself. Some of the new bigger features, and Christian mentioned it, was a new point of sale section, which kind of came about to bring a more touch-friendly, more easy to use interface for different use cases. So it makes things a little bit quicker, but you can also use it the same way you've always used point of sale. You're just building invoices, adding charges to folks' invoices. So jump over to the point of sale section here. As you can see, first of all, has anybody used this, or does anybody use it now? Yeah. Okay. So let's see. So like I said, and what kind of comfortable. We hope that this is kind of a first step for us. We hope kind of want to expand this a little bit, but the idea is that this is very touch friendly, so you can use it on your iPad, use it on your phone, use it in those places where you don't have a laptop. You can quickly kind of jump to different categories of items that you might want to sell. So if I want to somebody walks up and they want to buy a t-shirt or a hoodie, just quickly add it, touch it. If it's a touch screen, you can adjust the price, adjust the quantity. You can quickly bump up the quantity or bump down the quantity. And then at that point, it's really just a matter of what you want to do with this. So you can do a retail sale. So that'll immediately just drop this on a new invoice. It's like you take the payment and you may also want to just be adding charges to folks that are kind of standing in front of it. So those might be people that have kind of running invoices with you, but they might just be people checking in, hanging out, buying things as they're on property. So you've got multiple options to kind of quickly build an invoice or add those charges. I'll go ahead and do the retail sale option. And then you'll see that you immediately get a screen to take that payment. If you got credit card processing enabled at this point, you can do a swipe per day or whatever the case may be. Speaking of which, we were working on new terminals for both of our payment processors, so new things coming down that pipe. And with that, you've got an invoice, you've taken your sale. If you want to print at this point, you can. If you want to email, you can at that point as well. So it's really just sort of a first step for a really quick sort of way to do point of sale interactions. In the future, and I'm curious, and like I said, catch up with me. The things we're thinking about is how do we make this easier? How do we make it more customizable? how do we make it work in maybe a small bar or restaurant environment. We're not going to go all in probably on a complete restaurant system because those get really complex. And as Christian noted, we'll be looking at integrations with the bigger, more complex systems for those folks that need that. But we're hoping to do more here so we can keep you less integrations, keep things simple for those folks that need that. Any questions about point of sale? Awesome. All right. So the next one is accounting. Maybe the sexiest topic in software, right? So accounting has been, over the course of rezStream's history and really my history in serving software, our history has been go look at your reports. And sometimes that means run 7 or 8 or 9 different reports to figure out all the different things. Try to come up with some numbers that make sense, and then plug those into some accounting system. While that can work, it can be tedious and painful, and sometimes it's hard to get the data that you want. So we sort of went down this path, actually from the perspective of a QuickBooks integration, right? But we realized kind of quickly that before we can really do that integration, we need to present something to you that makes sense from where you can see the data that we're going to ship over there, and then also make adjustments to it, right? Like that doesn't look right to me. I need to research that and fix it, and then I'll be comfortable shipping it into my accounting system where it's the golden rules over it. So the way the accounting sort of section works, there's really just 3 sections, but they all have kind of different views of the same data. This is all your financial activity over that time frame. So you pick your date range. By default, we just default to today. So, and I'm sure many of you have maybe heard the term night audit. That concept applies here if you want to do it nightly, but we don't force you into that model. You can do it weekly, monthly, whatever makes sense for you. So the first section is the financial audit. What this is intended to do is show you, it's kind of broken into two sections. The top section is really a detailed breakdown of, these are all the people that had some kind of financial activity or during that time frame. And then down below is sort of a grouping of all that activity into different buckets. So your revenue, any fees you collected, taxes you were collecting, or realizing, I should say, all your payments, redemptions, deposits, gift certificates. And then if you use this on an ongoing basis, these net account changes will show you how things are changing over that course of time. We're not an accounting system, so we're not expecting to keep balances here, but we can show you the change in balances. And that's what you would show your accounting system, and you would have your balances over there. So hopefully that all makes sense. But as an example, I don't want to dig super deep into this because, like I said, it's super sexy. But at the top level, you can kind of see each reservation or invoice, all the revenue and taxes that came into play, any payments you collected, advanced deposits, whether you collected them or they got used. This was something we didn't really have. We had some reports you could kind of make this work, but it was kind of troublesome. So we had to really kind of officially support that here. Same thing with gift certificates. You have sold and redeemed. Gift certificates, like advanced deposits, are kind of a liability on your account until you use them, right? So those are kind of some ledger accounts is the way we refer to it in here. But then the final accounts are you'll see 3 buckets: the guest ledger, the guest receivable, and the guest payable one. The idea here is, while you've got people on property or buying things or interacting with you, that's kind of activity in credit that's happening. So we call that your guest ledger. That's really that's only stuff that's impacting you while those folks are there. So it's really there from an accounting perspective. So we can do double entry accounting. So a good example, and then if they leave without paying you, you've got a receivable. If they leave and somehow you owe them money, I don't know how that would be usually, but you never know. That would land in the designated list, right? The other aspect of this table is it lets you sort of see those transactions in a true double entry accounting sort of mechanism. So if I want to see every activity that happened, I can see they had some lodging, they had some tax, and they bought a gift certificate. So things you can do here to kind of simplify this if you're kind of digging into things. Like maybe I want to see what was the impact on my guest ledger. So you can see that, the revenue and the taxes are, you're realizing that, so those are debits to your guest ledger, and then your gift certificate is kind of, is getting it. Can't figure out what that is. So I'm not sure, I'm gonna go look at the invoice. They actually paid with a gift certificate, so that's a gift certificate payment. So it gives you a lot of way to dig into the data, see the debits and the credits, and kind of correlate all that stuff. You can also, as I noted before, you might want to say, well, how did I get this $419 in lodging? If I click on that, it takes me back into that ledger, but it filters down to just those lodging transactions for that time period. You can see they occurred across multiple different reservations in this case. So it gives you lots of ways to kind of sort out and solve problems. And once you have all that data in place and you're comfortable with it, then you can take a step back and head over to the journal entry view. And this is what we would expect you to post over into your accounting system. So you have all these accounts set up over there, and then you get your debits and your credits. And you can see that kind of at the bottom everything matches, which always has to happen on a journal entry, right? And then, so it's essentially posting the changes during that time frame to those accounts within your accounting system. So from an integration perspective, it could be as simple as you come in, you do these steps each day or each week, and then you look at this journal entry and you manually enter that in QuickBooks. Eventually, we'd like to automate that once we get comfort from folks that this is the way it works and this is the way I want it to work. So for anybody out there that's using this or has, maybe you're not the accountants in your group and maybe there's somebody who is, but have them reach out to us, have them take a look at this, tell us what they think. If you're using that journal entry, we'd love to know it, and then we'll get some confidence that we can go ahead and build that integration in QuickBooks or the accounting systems. Any questions about that?
Do you export that as a CSV file or anything now, or is it just strictly? I have that screen open in my QuickBooks.
This particular screen you cannot export as a CSV, but we could make that happen, for sure. Some of the other sections do, I believe. I think the financial audit. Some of these, if you drill down, you can export to CSV there, but sometimes it doesn't, like I don't know what you would export this particular massive data as a CSV, like what would you do with that, right?
How would you do it?
Now the audit screen, I mean the journal entry screen, that might make sense as an export for sure. But that's what I'm curious about. Is like if you can tell me how you do that or what you're going to do with that, then let's.
I'm not using it now, but manually key in things into QuickBooks.
Okay.
I'm still on QuickBooks Desktop 2018 for Mac.
Yeah.
And I'm very unhappy with Intuit's pricing and so on.
Yes.
Not going anywhere.
That was another reason we didn't push real hard down the integration path, because we can't really integrate with those old desktop software. We can with the cloud-based stuff, and that's where they're pushing everybody, right? But like you,
Not in it.
Yeah. And like this one, the capability to use whatever you want to use, right? Any other questions on that? All right. So the last thing I wanted to talk about or show you in the account. This is something we're rolling out right now. I don't know, has anybody looked at the new reports this week? You got this notification section, I can jump over the new reports. Been looking at them?
I use it.
Okay, good. we had what was called, this is in the software development world, you don't always get it right. Sorry. We chose a reporting platform that was not the best platform. Those were the enhanced reports that you see under all these sections. So we had some limits with that. There were things you couldn't do. You couldn't print and export things the way you wanted to sometimes. We couldn't do anything about it. So we decided to move on. So that's kind of what the new reports is all about. We're using a much more modern tool to support that. And it lets us do the things we want to do with just a lot more control over the end results. So an example is all these revenue reports, right? We have revenue by channel, revenue by promo, revenue by reason. They're all separate reports, but it's really all the same data, just sort of showing you different things. So over in the new reporting section, it's very similar model in terms of just the general interface. We added a top level date range. So in general, if you're looking at data, you're probably going to be looking at the kind of the same date range across all your different reports. So you can kind of pick that date range up front now, as opposed to picking it after you open each report and changing it every time. Right now we have one option to group by property. Some people have multiple properties in their business, some people don't. If you don't, that won't show up. We may have additional options that kind of, as we build more reports and they have more standard kind of formatting, those are just kind of things that we're going to auto set when you open the report. As an example, going back to that revenue, all those grouping reports, right? So we created a new report called All Revenue by Group. And this allows you to see all your revenue, which is what we were seeing before, but you can just over on the right-hand side here, just pick what you want to group by, right? So different people want to do different things and slice and dice their data in different ways. We had a customer that was here with us last year that recently asked for this rate option as an example. They were doing some different things with government rates and they wanted to see how that's kind of playing out for them. So you can just choose what you want to group by, and it's going to kind of reformat your data and kind of show it the way, whatever you want to group it by, right? So, like in this case, if you look at my cabins, I'm doing some weekly rates, I'm doing some regular rates, and kind of break down how things are going for those different buckets, those categories. The interface itself is a little bit more new and modern as well. One of the big problems we used to have is you could drill down like this into a sub-report, but then you couldn't print it, you couldn't export it. That was a really big deal, right? So now you stay in the same interface. You've got kind of navigation buttons up here so you can navigate back and forth. You can navigate through the different pages of the report. You've got some zooming, so you can kind of zoom in and out, do whatever makes sense for you. In addition to that, you can do things like, I can search for stuff in this report, right? If I got a really big long report full of data, maybe you're looking for something specific. Maybe I'm looking for a particular advanced grade. So now you can kind of search within the report and see that stuff. And of course you can export it as well. So you can export it to PDF, CSV, so all that is going to work just sort of naturally. So we're looking, the other, let's see, the last thing I want to cover for subscriptions. So we were also, that reporting tool limited our subscription capabilities a little bit. So we have been able to kind of take control of that process with this new report. So you can add a subscription for in-image reports. Kind of similar to our old sort of approach, you kind of pick the parameters, pick when you want to send it, but you no longer have to, what you used to have to do is set up a user, and that user would get that report. Now you can just put whatever emails you want. So you don't have this sort of kind of weird scenario where somebody set up a subscription and they're no longer with your business and where's the subscription coming from and what's going on with this. So it gives you a lot more control and capability over the subscription process as well. So that's the new report section.
I have a question.
All right.
So we market state by state and we track dollars from states.
Yep.
But this doesn't seem like it has a state level reporting mechanism, which is,
Not yet.
thank you.
But yes, that's one of the nice things about this reporting system as well is you see the filtering on the right here. So it's a much more flexible system. We used to be kind of limited with what we could do with that. So now we can build those reports where you can group by different things, maybe break things down by state or search by state. So that's definitely on my radar in terms of building some of those reports that not only you, but lots of people have been asking for stuff like that, right? So we have that capability now.
And we had an example where we couldn't figure out why we were getting a lot of bookings from New Jersey.
Okay.
And it was like, what the heck is going on? And you just really had to dig hard to figure out what are we doing successful first.
Yep.
We figured it out eventually, but it should be easier even at a zip code level, maybe.
Yes. Yep. Yep. That's definitely something we've heard, and definitely something that we want to kind of approach a little differently for the reporting capabilities. Absolutely.
What you figure out?
Can you report on the point of sale items?
Yep.
Okay, and can you report on like the custom fields that we create? They seem to, like we have food allergies.
Mm-hmm.
We build that.
Yep.
Reporting on those, like who has those? What are they?
Okay.
We have the field, and then you freeform. I'm allergic to asparagus, whatever it is.
Yeah.
We can't get to that level. Is that something that's exciting?
Is it, well, who cares if it's exciting, right? Is it useful?
It's very
If it is, then we should figure it out. What we do, we can talk later in more detail, but yeah, I think that's something.
It's the custom fields, because we have to use those for our
Yeah.
business.
Yeah, and I just want to talk to you about what you want to do in the system to find that stuff or how to make it useful, right?
Cool.
But yeah, come back to me and we'll chat through that for sure. You bet.
Is there a way to get tax exempt reservations?
Just the reservations that are tax exempt?
Right now, we have to go through for reporting, we have to go through every reservation in a given time, unless I don't know your trick, to look for a tax exempt reservation, which we need to do to match with our, tax receipts when we go ahead and we do a lot of nonprofit meetings, so
Okay.
the way we do it now is through transactions.
I think you could.
And we just look for zero balances and have to go in and do it manually.
Sure.
But sometimes, obviously, you might get a magical zero balance on your
Yeah.
rate.
Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
just happens to be a coincidence. I want tax exempt.
One idea, I'd have to kind of think through that a little bit with you. But one idea is on our taxes by individual tax report, you'll see the exempted revenue. So you'd be able to quickly identify who had some exempted revenue, whether it was all or not. From there, you could drill down now. And I didn't have it, but if you had some here, then at this level, you're gonna see like your person, your reservation, all the invoice information. So and at the very least, at that point, you can either print or export that to a list and kind of get that data. Good. Cool. Good questions.
I have a question maybe to ask. Who here uses the property? Who here has set up the properties?
Multi-property?
Yeah, no, so properties, I'm just curious if anybody uses that, if that's a useful thing. We've designed it to be like unit groups. I wanna kind of see my cabins versus my rooms versus boats, or it could be locations. Some people are like, oh, I wanna see my seaside versus my inland. So that's just a general maybe question.
We're getting into the bad part. So you're thinking about these.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense for that. In Minnesota, we have a lot of resorts that are campground, so they have cabins and they have a campground. They use the properties a lot for that kind of thing. And then the group by property allows you to kind of see that revenue broken out differently. Yep. So, in our old reports, that was kind of forced on you. So whether you had properties or not, you would see your property grouped in there. So we give you the option now to kind of see it all together or see it broken out. So trying to give you a little bit more flexibility in how you use your sports and what makes sense for you. All right. I think that's all I had as far as demonstrating software. Christian alluded to the things we're working on. As he noted, and I kind of alluded to as well, we're currently kind of working with both of our credit card partners to implement better devices, terminals, EM Tap and EMV. Those devices will also support at the point of sale anyways, Google and Apple Pay, so things like that. Anything you can tap on the thing, it'll work. So those things we already have those for rezStream payments in place. We're working on those for Shift4 as well. We're really kind of trying to finalize and make the channel interface stuff. Right now it's kind of hidden to you as the user. So we've been onboarding folks, as Christian noted, lots of people. And it's generally working. And generally, it's kind of a set and forget it thing. You won't have to be in there tweaking and screw around with things too often. But we're working on some interface things that people do want to control, like when to block availability, for example, block certain channels for whatever reasons, update bump rates up or down based upon how you want to do those things, and do that at a channel level. So that stuff will be coming soon. And he also noted the credit card surcharge. How many people in here charge extra or charge that credit card surcharge? Anybody? Good, I agree with you. I think that's the wrong way to go, but lots of people want that. So that's a thing we're kind of looking into and trying to flush out. And then, as he kind of alluded to down the road, other things kind of on our near-term roadmap. We try not to roadmap too far out because everything's changing all the time, right? So in our near future, he kind of alluded to a new guest portal, modern, mobile first. We were talking earlier, and I was talking about Booking.com has a great interface. Whether you like Booking.com or not, they do have they spend a lot of time making that interface work for people in a mobile way. That's top of mind for us. We want to make that guest interface mobile first, mobile friendly, fast, easy to use, easy to get through the process, get through that funnel and take that booking. As part of that, we're also thinking about a guest portal, so a place where a guest can log in, make payments, view their charges, view their invoices, update their credit card on file potentially. Lots of potential opportunities for people to do stuff on their own. Check in, check out, all that kind of stuff. So those are things that are kind of on we really want to move that stuff forward this year. Automatic rate management is something we keep hearing more and more about. Rate, like kind of auto rate yielding, AI sort of concepts in play there. But mostly it's just kind of using local data to identify, can you bump your rates up? Should you be bumping your rates down based on your occupancy, based on other people's occupancy? So those things are things we're really looking deep into at this point. The other big one, which has been kind of it's been a problem for us for a while, which is rates, right? Setting up rates particularly. Annually, you gotta go through and set up your rates, and we know our rate interface is not great. It's very powerful. You can do a million things with it, but it's also very tedious and it takes a while to kind of go through that process and get all that stuff set up. So we've heard it and we know about it and we really want to make that better. So we're hoping to build some kind of a new UI this year that makes that process a lot simpler. So those are the few things that are kind of at the top of our list in terms of what we're moving towards next. Any questions about any of that?
I have a question about it, Steve, and Jeff would know about this, and probably you too. In Minnesota, it's January 1st, we can't do junk fees anymore. And I didn't ever do junk fees, but whether anything in hospitality is going to check.
Yeah.
So we can't do any form of add-ons of fees, and I noticed, and I'm sure, being in hospitality, you look at the bill, and I don't know if you guys looked at your bill, where they have $27, what are they calling it here? Did you see it? Maybe it's a resort fee. Yeah, it wasn't a resort fee, they had a real nice name for it, but $27 a night, that basically said, I think it's related to if they come back into the room to clean or whatever. So there isn't a space for us to add anything on unless you're a group of 6 if you were eating in a restaurant, or a bunch of different things. So if there would be anything that we can charge for, it has to be a category that we can put in that is totally different than what, I don't know if there's other people that are here today that have that in their state, but it's a difficult thing to add on anymore. I didn't do it, but with prices being crazy, it's something that I would like to be able to do. So, it's just a thought, so if we're doing it, I'm sure it's gonna happen elsewhere.
Okay.
Is there a place to put fees that are not taxes on your folio?
There are, yeah, absolutely. We actually have a built-in fees concept, so you can do it that way. It's different people want to manage fees different ways, so it kind of depends on your use case, but absolutely we can talk through your use case.
Can I just tell you what it is?
Sure.
In Boulder, we just had a local Boulder accommodations assessment fee that starts tomorrow of an additional 2%. We added it onto like a tax.
Okay.
We were informed it wasn't a tax, it's a accommodations fee. So Expedia and Booking.com will not add it onto their totals. So we have a discrepancy when someone makes a reservation on Expedia and they get to the hotel and we're a 3-day ahead charge. So we charge them 2% more than what they agreed to when they saw it on Expedia or Booking.com.
Yeah, that's interesting. We're hearing that more and more.
So,
Because Expedia and Booking.com sometimes don't, like you said, they don't let you put whatever fees you have, right? They limit Airbnb is another one.
so I'm expecting a lot of pushback after tomorrow from guests who are like, we have $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 reservations.
Yeah.
2% on that is, a significant amount.
One thing we heard in talking to, it was again that one customer that was here last year. They have their Expedia and Booking.com set up in some way where when we get the reservation, the taxes and fees are all wrong from the system, right? So they said, we don't want that. We want you to just apply our taxes and fees that we have set up in registry. And they're different than what they see when they make that booking. But somehow they have a way of putting a message in their thing that says, look, Expedia or Booking.com will not let us put this fee on here. It's going to be there when you show up at the door.
So we end up doing those messages, the automated messages in the channel, and people will still argue us.
Yeah.
I am a client of Expedia's. I made this reservation on their platform. I don't think I have to pay this fee.
Yeah.
For us, I mean, it's tens of thousands of dollars that we would be liable for to the local tax fee district.
Yeah.
So it's probably.
Sure sounds like tax.
I am telling you this is tax. Because I don't want to pay it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway.
Yeah, so you can set up a fee in our system, which works just like a tax. So it's that same kind of stuff.
I didn't catch your name, but I sit on the board of RTID, which is like lodging assessment and tax in Fort Collins, and I have all the information. And anybody else wants help if they're dealing with the TID or an assessment tax, or it's a fee, but it's actually tax. Come to me, I can help you.
It seems to be okay to be a tax on booking.com, but it is not a tax on the street.
No, it's we have a whole other animal.
Yeah, the OTAs are animals. I mean, it's great. Okay. Well, that's all I have for you. Like I said, feel free to catch me on here. We will be here tomorrow morning too if anybody's around. So feel free to catch me, and I've got a couple of my developer crew here, and we have our support team here as well. So we can pull up your account, we can help you set things up, change things around, fix things based upon whatever